Hi everyone, welcome to my Ottoman podcast, episode 2. As I mentioned in my last episode, today I will talk about my work flow and my work process. As a freelancer on Fiverr, I do work with a lot of buyers, and with each buyer my work process will change. I will give a little bit of insight into how I generally work with most of my buyers. If it's a design project and a buyer contacts me with asking me if I can help them out, I will always try to get all the details that I need to complete the design. And if they lack anything, or if they don't have anything, I always inform the buyer, and if it's something that I can do, I help them out with it, or I refer to someone else who has the ability to do that work. Example, like some buyers, they don't have a logo, so they might ask me to create one, but if it's a personal request, I might do, but when it comes to the Fiverr platform and the freelancing platform, I might not do it because I'm not a professional when it comes to logo design. So I would refer to someone who is good at it and ask them to get the logo done. There's a reason for it. When you take a logo, the logo will have the colors, the fonts, and a rough idea of what the buyer might like, so that you can use it in your design, because it's easier and it's sometimes that is the way the buyer would like the design to be. The colors and the font combination, they want it in a similar manner, so it's easier. So with that, the other information I might ask from a buyer is to provide me the final text, whether there is a design style format they might like, because there are different types of design styles that you can find. So, and there are some styles that I don't do, and some if it's something doable, I would go ahead with the project. And especially with the Fiverr platform, if you take, you can't do a sample design, or you can't start to do a design without the order. So you have to talk the budget plus the deadline with the buyer and see if it's something you can accommodate. I will normally discuss this beforehand and see if it's something I can manage with my time frame, and if it's something I can do at that time frame. If I can't, I really don't recommend giving them unrealistic hopes that you will deliver on time on that deadline, or you can do something that you can't. So I will refrain from doing such, and I will give them a realistic timeline and a realistic goal. This is what I can do, and this is the timeline I can do. And if I'm being frank, most of the time the buyers are really happy to do the work with that time frame when I give them a reasoning as why I can't give in the time frame that they ask and the budget. So after that, when they place the order, only I start design. And the design process of mine, if you remember, I told you that I work all alone and I don't have anyone else working with me. Normally, when I get a brief, I get a visual imprint in my head, and I try my best to create a design in that format, which most of the times works and sometimes it doesn't, but I make changes to suit the buyer's needs. And there are times when a buyer might request you to do some work and their brief is something totally different from what they really want. In those situations, I normally try to create two designs. One with the description of the design brief that the client wants, and the second one what I think will work best. And I give the option to the buyer to choose what they think is right and what they think will work. So when designing, if you take designing is not something easy to do unless you are doing something for your own. When you are doing a design for somebody else, their likes and dislikes might be different from what you see. So you have to you should be able to understand and accept their criticism and their feedback. And the ideas that you both have might clash at some point, but if you discuss, you can find a common ground and do a better job. In my work though, in my personal work, it's totally something different because my personal workflow is like a river. It starts from one end and it slowly goes to the other, which has a flow. But when I work with a buyer or a client, it's something different, but I try my best to stick to that flow of work. And another thing, when you do personal work, you don't have a timeline. You can have a rough timeline, but you can have any amount of time that you want. But with a client's project, you can't. You have to stick to a timeline because when you do a design, you always give the draft design, then you have to do modifications. This might take like 1 or 2 modifications or more, and there are times that the client might change the details and send more text than you have to add, so you might have to redesign. These kind of issues come up, but you can discuss with the buyer and ask for extra time and even an extra fee for the extra work that you are doing. And I find it discussing these things before I quote or before I start a project with the buyer, because from experience I know with some types of buyers it's easy to work, and there are some who are difficult to explain the process and explain that you will need time. So with those buyers you have to be extra careful how you work. And when it comes for the delivery of the project, and when it comes for the delivery of a final project, always remember you have to provide all the files that you have promised. If you take it's a design, you will have to send the PDF, the JPEG, the mockups. The mockup is something that you show how the final product will be, and the source files. What is a source file? A source file is the original file that you use to design. And always let the buyer know if they need any things change, let you know, or in future to keep in touch if their printer or some other platform that they work with ask for necessary adjustments. Be helpful to the buyer and help them out, because you did the design and the buyer might not have somebody else to help them out with it. So be kind, be helpful, and be cooperative, because that is the key for you to have a repeated buyer who will always work with you. And a repeated buyer is a plus sign. I hope these tips will help you out, and with knowing how I work, I hope it will help you out to manage your work. Thank you.